So on the 12th of April, the University of Chichester is bringing American Idiot to the new Theatre Royal, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by director Andrew Wright. Andrew, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks ever so much, Paul. It's lovely to be here.
So it's really great to talk to you again. Obviously, the last time we spoke, I believe, was it a month ago, 6 weeks ago, somewhere around there for 95?
Yeah, that would have been in January, late January, that production was. So,
A few
yeah,
months
probably
ago.
probably longer than that. The time flies.
Right, it really, really does. So I assume everything went really well and everything was a success.
Yeah, it was. It was a fantastic production. We really enjoyed our time at the New Theatre Royal. It was received really well by the audiences, and the new chief exec actually at the New Theatre Royal, Anna Farthing, was really really impressed with the work. And we had a meeting shortly after that, and she really praised the students and the quality of the work and how they were professionally backstage. So that was great. That's actually what's led to us doing an additional show for American Idiot. It would have been two performances, and we're actually doing three performances this time.
Oh
So
wow. Oh well, that's even better news then, because at the end of the day, I know it's about kind of what the people are going to go and see and everything else, but this is all about the students' development. So for them to get that kind of a praise is exactly what you want to hear.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, very much so.
So American Idiot. Obviously, a lot of people are going to know the album by Green Day. A lot of people are going to know Green Day's music. Obviously, the song is an absolutely huge song. Um, I put myself in the category that I don't actually know a whole lot about the play. I know it's won awards. I know it's been a hit, on Broadway and in the West End and everything else like that. So, for the people like me, tell us what we can expect to see if we go and see American Idiot.
So it is a jukebox musical, a quintessential jukebox musical, which is one of the most predominant subgenres of musical now over the last 20 to 25 years. They have sort of risen to prominence and they remake up a huge amount of the landscape of what is currently on the West End and in Broadway. So that essentially, in a nutshell, means that it takes an existing back catalogue of music, either by a particular artist or a band or from a genre or an era, and then it creates a show around that, working in a narrative, and tweaking some of those lyrics along the way. So other jukebox musicals, things like Mamma Mia, We Will Rock You, Beautiful, the Carole King musical, or Jersey Boys, are other jukebox musicals. So this is a quintessential one of those. It's a high octane 90-minute through sung rock opera. It uses the music of Green Day's 2004 album, and then also some other songs that they have written as well. And it weaves together a narrative. Obviously, the original production premiered on Broadway in 2010. We're now 14 years beyond, so we've done some tweaking to elements of language that are perhaps a little outdated and don't quite suit the time frame that we're in, and the piece that we're presenting. But it's sort of set in a post 9/11 world where there's a deep themes of disenfranchised youth, and there's three key characters. There's Johnny, Tunny, and Will. One of them goes to war, one of them goes off traveling, ends up in the city, and one of them stays at home. And it's about that and how their journey is one of self-discovery, and where they ultimately end up, making these big choices in life. And yeah, I don't want to say too much. Obviously, I want to leave it just whet the appetite of the audience. But you're certainly in for an incredibly exhilarating evening. It's a two-time Tony Award-winning
Yeah.
musical. It's got brilliant music. We're hiring in an additional PA to the one that's in the theatre,
Oh,
so it's
wow.
going to be loud. The lighting will be, rock concert style. I've got an incredible lighting designer working on this project, and yeah, it's certainly going to be an exciting and exhilarating evening, I would say.
Sounds amazing. Now, I have to ask you, how do you choose these projects? How do you choose what play or musical you are going to do? Is this solely your decision or is it down to a committee? How does it work?
Yeah, so I'm the program leader for the musical theatre performance program at Chichester Conservatoire. I am also the resident producer for that particular program and all of the productions that we put on throughout the year. So we do workshops of new musicals, which are existing and or emerging pieces, and then we will put on three big musicals a year. One in January, so that was 9 to 5 this year. We put on one in April, and then we always do a world premiere of a brand new British musical in our June summer slot.
Oh, wow.
So when
Okay.
I'm selecting the musicals, I'm looking at the ways in which we can challenge the students with varied and diverse repertoire. And also some of these projects, students are putting themselves forward as an extracurricular activity. So the stakes are pretty high. They're not guaranteed a spot in these shows. So what we tend to find is that if a show isn't quite right, or if a student isn't quite right for something like 9 to 5 or Legally Blonde or The Addams Family, they might be right for something like American Idiot or Little Women or The Clockmaker's Daughter, because they require different things, different vocal tone, different movement styles. Some shows will be more geared towards the dancer singers, others will be more geared towards the the sort of actor singers. So I think it's my job and the job of any educator to challenge their students and give them a varied experience, both whilst they're training and setting them up for them when they go and work in the industry.
I think it must be really, really difficult because I'd imagine that you're very torn between, I love this show, but is it right for my students? That type of thing. I recently saw the Stage One Youth Theatre production of Les Miserables, and I was blown away with the talent of the students. That they were just absolutely amazing. So, is there any kind of limit? Do you think, right, this is not right, or this is too much for my students?
I think there's never I've never looked at a show and there's never been a time where I've gone, I don't think we're capable. I don't think the students are capable of doing this. But what I do have to look at is the cohort of students that we have on the program at that time, to look at the appropriateness of casting, and the male to female ratio and the types of vocalists, the types of performers that we have. So I think that definitely plays a part in which shows might be right for us at any given time. So yeah, all of those things have to be taken into consideration.
And I would imagine something like American Idiot, like you say, it is a split second away from being a rock show itself. When you come into something that high energy, must be very, very exciting for everybody to be involved with.
Absolutely. We've just recently kicked off rehearsals, and there's a great buzz in the rehearsal room. We had the model box demonstration of the set by our brilliant set and costume designer, and the set design is just fantastic. It's a sort of decaying urban jungle kind of wasteland. There's Harris fencing, there's graffiti. So we've got a specialist graffiti artist who's starting work on the set next week.
Wow.
To actually complete all of the artwork. But it's a really fantastic set, and I think the students are working with a fully professional creative team. We've got Michelle Payne directing, Matt Greaves as MD, and Ruth Seeger as choreographer, as well as our professional set and costume designer, Francine Hugh-Noir, and then we have the rest of the creative and production team around that. But yes, there's definitely a buzz. It's definitely high energy. It's like I say, it's 90 minutes, so it's a through sung, one act rock opera, but it's pretty full on. Some musicals will be 2.5 hours long, and they might be interpolated big production numbers with some scenes and a bit of downtime. But this is it's pretty relentless. It just, once it starts, it just keeps going.
Foot to the floor for the entire time. That's what we like to hear.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm going to ask you something that I would imagine is probably going to depress me now. So I remember when the Green Day American Idiot album came out, one of my favorite albums. I love it to bits. Your students, do they class it as dad rock? Are they listening to it going, I've not heard of this. What's this? It sounds really old.
No, I think they are certainly aware of Green Day's music, and I think certainly since I announced that we were putting on this production, they have done their homework, they've done their research. I think one or two of them might consider it dad rock. I mean, if you think of Green Day, I grew up with with Green Day and albums like Nimrod and Dookie back in the 90s. And actually, if you think about it, they were formed in 1987 and they're still producing music now. They're still releasing music now, which is incredible. But I think the students have definitely jumped on board with the style of the music. So I think for those that were not hesitant but slightly unsure of exactly what it was, I think they're on board with that now. And some of them were probably only a year or two old when this album came out. But no, I'm pleased they've jumped in both feet first. So I'm very pleased.
Good, because I don't want to go and see this and be called granddad.
You and me both.
Well, look, it sounds absolutely amazing. I'm sure it is going to be a rip-roaring success, same as all of the other shows that you've put on. If people want to get tickets, how can they do that?
So the tickets are available through the New Theatre Royal website. We've got 3 performances, as previously mentioned, an 8 p.m. on Friday the 12th of April, and then a 5 p.m. and an 8 p.m. on Saturday the 13th. And we do also have a special NUS deal on the Friday evening. So if they contact the venue, you can get a half-price NUS ticket for the Friday evening performance at 8 p.m. for just £5.
Oh, wow. It sounds absolutely amazing. Well, look, Andrew, the best of luck. I don't need to say that because I know it's going to be absolutely amazing. It sounds fantastic. I can't wait to see it. The best of luck with everything. I hope it all goes really, really well.
Thank you so much, Paul. Pleasure talking to you.